In today's video, we are going to be floating. Hi, I'm Kim Jamieson-Hirst of Chatterbox Quilts, and today I want to talk about floating, and that pertains to machine embroidery. So you may hear sometimes that people are floating their fabric in their embroidery hoop, and you might be wondering, what does that mean? Well, sort of like what it sounds like. So typically when you are doing machine embroidery, you will have your stabilizer in the hoop, all right? It's between the top hoop and the bottom hoop, and you usually have your fabric in there as well, so it holds everything nice and taut. But sometimes when you are doing in the hoop designs, you will see that they are what we call floating the fabric instead of hooping the fabric. And what that means is that you're taking your fabric, and you'll sometimes see this with projects that are using a quilt as you go method as well. They'll have the batting stitched down first. It doesn't get hooped either, it just gets laid in there. And then they will be putting different pieces of fabric in. Usually they're an applique design. But let's just say that we have this fabric that we want to float. So I can put it down on my stabilizer. As I say, there may be batting underneath it. And I put it down. There's usually a guideline. The machine will stitch out a guideline, and I need to make sure that that fabric covers those stitches, okay? It needs to extend past those stitches, but then I need to keep it in place because I don't want the machine to start stitching this down. It'll stitch it down for us, and then we will trim. I don't want to have it there and the machine starts stitching and the fabric starts doing this. We definitely don't want that to happen. So we want to have some way of temporarily adhering it to the stabilizer or batting. All right. Or might be other fabric. We're going to talk about that in just a second. So there's different ways you can do this. And the ways I've found that are easier, some people like to use a temporary adhesive spray. I don't like to use those in my studio. They're expensive and they can get sticky all over everything, so I tend not to use them. But I do like to use different kinds of tape. You could glue it down with a little glue stick if you wanted to, but I find tape works really, really well. So let's talk about different kinds of tape. So this is like a painter's tape. It can come in different widths. Okay, so you can get it in a narrow width if you wanted to, but all I'm doing is making sure this stays in place. So I'll put it down partially on the fabric and either on the hoop or on the stabilizer, depending on how big this fabric piece is. Right now I've got pretty much the whole inside of the hoop covered, right? So this would be like our background fabric perhaps. And I might just put it down in a couple places. I mean, if you wanted to, you could do the sides as well, but this is probably, that's not really moving, right? It's keeping it in place. And after we've done our stitching and we need to do trimming, well, of course, you will just remove the tape. We'll pretend this is stitched down now. You just take the tape off. And sometimes you can even reuse it, right? So sometimes you can't probably see what I'm doing here, but I will just stick it on the end of my table here or wherever I'm working with my embroidery machine, and I can use it again. So that's just regular painter's tape, right? You can also use this kind of medical tape. This is like 3M. I don't have the package anymore. But this is like 3M medical tape. It tears really easily. It's translucent. Same idea, right? I would just tear off what I need. And I don't have to cover the whole thing, just as long as I've got enough on there to keep in place. And then just tape it down. And again, it's not going to move. If you're wondering where you can get this, don't worry. I've got a link for you. Check up above or in the description below. And I'll have a link where you can purchase this. Quite economical, actually, too. And it can double in your studio in case you have a cut or something. You can use that to, put a gauze or something on it if you need to. Okay, dual purpose, right? They make it for medical reasons, but we use it in quilting and machine embroidery. Okay. Then there's this, which is this RK Embroidery Perfection Tape. So it's a pink tape. It's a little thinner, as you can see, than the painter's tape I happen to have here. But same thing, okay? That one actually had torn off for something else, I guess, to use. And same thing, you're just going to stick it down, and when you're done and it's time to trim, you just take it off again. You might be able to reuse this somewhere else in the project. So, for example, if you were doing applique, I like to do applique where it stitches down the shape, and then I put in a piece larger, again, than that stitched out design, and I will have it stitch it down, and I trim afterwards. Same thing. Sometimes I even get a bit lazy, and instead of floating it, but securing it, I will actually just leave it there and use a stiletto or my fingers just to kind of hold it down as it goes along. Not recommended. That's not really a smart thing to do, okay? Either if the needle hits the stiletto, that's not good for the machine, or if it hits my finger, really not good for me. So again, using one of these options is a great idea to keep that down. Again, it would be trimmed afterwards. Now, I wanted to say a really big thank you and a shout out to my Patchwork Pals. These are quilters who joined my Patchwork Pals YouTube membership. And for a small monthly fee, they not only support my channel, but they get lots of amazing perks, one of which is early access to all my videos before the public even sees them. So if you're interested in supporting my channel and want to become a Patchwork Pal member, you can do that by clicking on the join button that you'll see below any of my videos. It gives you all the details there, and you can even become a Patchwork Pal member today. So now when someone talks about floating their fabric in machine embroidery, you'll know what they're talking about. Now, you might be wondering about how to hoop when you're normally hooping your fabrics and stabilizer for embroidery. If you're wondering how to do that, don't worry, I got you covered. Check out this video that has all the information that you need. And for more helpful quilting information, be sure to go to my website at www.chatterboxquilts.com.